Go ahead. Oh, go ahead, Fernando.
Fernando Mendez, chiropractor, Brooklyn. So, I might have talked about this last time I was here. So, I've been trying to finish the Old Testament. It's taken a while, but I'm done with it. And out of the whole last bit I read, the biggest impression, or one of the big impressions on me, was the book of Jeremiah. And he talks about the beginning, how he came after 20 years of doing his work as a prophet, as a priest, that he had to put all this stuff together, and he got the help from some guy called Baruch. And just reading that, giving my talk in September, I felt like I was doing a lot of the same thing. I was getting a lot of stuff together from Pasquale and getting it together. And recently I've had a lot of things about changing my schedule and what you're going to do. But one of the ideas coming from there was making sure I had time to work on that stuff, because it has been 20 years since I met Pasquale in 2024, and it's almost time to bring more of it together, not just for myself, but just to share it. Another thing from the Jeremiah book that really hit home for me was, and I think this was a common thing that happened to prophets, they got really beat up. But he definitely got beat up. I can't tell you other details about other guys, like specifics, but he had all kinds of issues, because he was talking about how things were going to go poorly for the people because they're not doing what they're supposed to. But they didn't want to hear that. So they threw him in a dungeon. Then they took him out of the dungeon, like, all right, we'll just throw you in jail. Then they grabbed him again and threw him in a cistern, like a big well. And he's talking to God and going, man, this is really rough, man. You're giving me all these jobs. These people keep beating me up. This is quite a curse. And obviously, God kind of turns around saying, hey, look, it's a blessing for you to be doing this work. And all his prophecies end up coming true. And that's why they still read him today. But it wasn't an easy road for him. And, we can take that home for ourselves. Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth. But we have to get through it. And it's nice for me to finish this Old Testament. And obviously next is the New Testament. And what do they call that? The good news. So I'm looking forward for some good news, and but really grateful I got through this whole Old Testament. It was wonderful. And that's all I have to say.
Anyone like to ask Fernando anything? Anyone? Anyone on Zoom? The Zoom world? Anyone? One more time.
You're doing this course, you're doing this with that pastor, right?
Yeah, it's pretty leisurely. It's just like, hey, I'm going to adjust him. Do you want to do breakfast and do the Bible study? And a month might go by and we don't see each other. At first we were really diligent, but we're both pretty busy. So it's not anything, hey, but I just try to keep a rhythm and keep going. Because I think I was talking to Pierre at one point, I was just reading through, and then to get the way they put this thing together was like, to get the whole story, you had to bounce back and forth. And I had to keep bouncing back and forth. It was really hard to keep track of what was going on. But I stuck with it, and you figure it out, and whatever. You're reading. It's like anything else. And it is quite an engaging story. So it's been casual, and I meet with him. There's so much stuff from the Bible that you get referenced to in regular life. And Pasquale talks so much about it that when I come across something, I go, what do you think about this? And he kind of breaks it down. It's quite a blessing to have a guy who's kind of knows his stuff about it. I think about when Pasquale was he was in practice, he wanted to learn the neurology, and Brian can correct me, but at some point Pasquale was like, I want to learn more neurology, and didn't he go out and hire a professor from Columbia?
Yes.
Pasquale was, it sounds kind of like, oh, we went out and got this guy, but he said back then, he was making tons, and this guy's just a professor, and the guy would come over, and that's how Pasquale ended up becoming a neurology professor at the chiropractic school. So, I guess when you need information, people come that will kind of help you. They'll help you out.
Anyone else want to ask Pasquale anything? Anyone?
Pasquale.
Anyone want to ask Senor Fernando Mendez anything? Don Fernando, they call him in Brooklyn. Anyone? Gracias, bueno, excelente. Bueno, clase de español. The floor is open for whoever would like to speak. Anyone? Well, hey, here's Alex. Someone. All right, Mark Johnson, folks.
Mark Johnson, chiropractor, Red Bank, New Jersey. I started a new guy yesterday that had been like an athlete and had all kinds of crazy stuff going on in his body for many, many years. And you know how people come in, oh, my shoulder, my this, my that, my hips, and I'm thinking, what's the best way that I can educate this guy into chiropractic and take him in through the whole physical, emotional, mental, spiritual bodies, and tie it in so that he can think of his body as more of an electrical system, but also a spiritual system at the same time, without hitting it, because I felt like I could talk about the spirit part with him, but also, and I didn't care whether he stayed or he was upset or not or anything anyway. I just figured, I just wanted to see how I could be creative that day and get a system going with him to understand chiropractic and think of it. So I started out with him saying, like, I want you to think of your system as an electrical system. And your neurological system is what conducts all this electricity that makes your body function. And think of your brain as like the master hard drive, and how does this hard drive communicate all this information down through the body and tell the body not only what to do, but what to be able to sense and how to make changes. And so I kind of thought of it as a fiber optic system with him. And I said, I'd like you to really think about the connection of energy, matter, and also the spirit of the body, because the spirit is that electrical source. And that you are a spiritual being, but I knew he was coming from a real physical area, and I wanted to kind of bring that into it so that he could really understand and maybe really want to take care of himself, because I could tell he was into like, oh, fighting through things when he's working out, and it didn't matter whether it hurt, I'm going to do it anyway. And so I showed him certain things about alignment. I told him about structure determines function, and I showed him, I have a grid thing on my mirror. Not that everybody has to be straight or whatever, but I just wanted to show him that there's also a balancing mechanism in the body, and how your gravity stress lines of your body and your stretch receptors can work and pick up when you're leaning one way or another way. And then I started talking about how the adjustment, and when we make these adjustments, that we're opening up the soft tissue that's inside this structure called the spinal column, and how that energy can flow through those nerves at a better way with ease. And that each adjustment was kind of like flipping the circuit breakers when you blow circuits in the house and the breakers go off. So I felt really good, like I got a good system going with him. He understood it, he was following me, and relating it also to not only how the body is wired, but also how it ends up communicating in an emotional way. Because I could tell, I said, I brought up the point that, a lot of times physically, when you're feeling this stuff and you're hurt, it doesn't mean that you did something in the gym, because I knew that's where he was coming, but he was driving himself nuts going, I don't remember how I hurt myself. And I said, well, you don't have to remember everything, but it's also, you got to think about it could be in the emotional body, and it could be the mental stuff going on, and you know what's going on in your body better than anybody else. And I said, so there's so many different things that could be causing your body to not communicate with itself as well, that, this adjustment I'm going to do today is only going to be step one of you starting to clear your system out and communicate. Time up?
Yeah, anyone want to ask Mark anything? Anyone?
I have a question.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Bob.
Mark, did you say you have a mirror that has a grid system where people can see their structure and alignment?
Yeah. I took like a wall mirror and I put it in the wall, and I have some verticals and some horizontals.
Nice.
So when I have you stand there, I said, I don't do x-rays. I use my eyes like x-ray vision. I feel you. I feel your bone structure. Now I'm going to do some light checks and just different things, and I'm going to palpate your body, motion palpate your body, and from that it's going to give me a picture. But I wanted him to start looking at the grid lines, because he was telling me about all these it's like you know, I said, so what did you come here for me, what do you expect to get out of this visit today? And he told me stuff like that, and he's a gym guy, and that he physically is having all of these types of things happening. And I wanted him to tie into that there's emotions that go on in your body and the mental stuff that's going on, because he gave me some indicators that was what was happening also.
Mark,
And, yeah.
face us
Oh,
when you're.
yeah, I was.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Come over here.
I'm not worried about you guys.
They can see
I'll
you
answer
better
here.
when you stand over
Oh,
here.
yeah, because you're, okay.
All right. Anyone else want to ask Mark anything? When you come up here and speak, you're speaking
I
to the people
understood what you're
here.
doing though. You
Yeah,
got
all you
They're
guys-
joining us.
Yeah.
So we're facing the people in front who are actually
I wanted
here.
to give Fernando my best view.
So anyone else want to ask Mark anything? Anyone? All right then, Mark. Excellent. Excellent. The floor is, all right. We got anyone in the Zoom world want to speak? Sarah?
Can't hear.
Tori, to everyone, you're
We
great,
can't
Mark.
hear you, Sarah.
What's that?
Tori said you're great, Mark. She
did?
sent a text that just popped up there.
Oh,
Wait a
Can
second.
you hear me?
Now we can hear you.
now we can,
Okay.
yeah.
Hi, Sura, chiropractor in Jersey City. And recently, Brian and I both started saying this prayer of the healing angels. And it's a prayer in the Lorna Byrne book, who we've mentioned before, but she's the Irish mystic. And she has all these stories of incredible healings working with God and angels. So Brian and I had a conversation. We're like, let's just start saying this every day. And about a week later, it was Nancy goes to Brian. Brian, you're not going to believe this, but you have a whole new group of angels working with you. And I was like, oh my God, that's like, to me that was like confirmation. I was like, it's the prayer. So I started saying this prayer every day, and I also say for all the people that come into the office. And I've also been praying not only for them, but I've been praying to increase my faith in chiropractic and to really show me like the power of chiropractic. And in the last week and a half, I've had 3 children with really challenging cases that I've never had before. And I have 2 more coming tomorrow. And I've never seen kids with these kind of things, like where I'm wrestling the kid down with the parent to get them adjusted because, and the parent is so into them being adjusted because the child is so, I don't know if it's neurologically damaged. I don't know what the right word to say is, but a lot is going on with them and they really need help. So I don't know if it's the prayer. Also last month, if you guys were at the meeting, you know I was saying I was having so many physical symptoms. It was like one thing after another. So I was like, was it that? Was that the clearing? I don't know what it is. I hope I can help these children well. And stay tuned, but I just think like it's not a coincidence that they all are suddenly coming. And I never had this experience before, so that's it.
Anyone want to ask Sarah anything? Anyone?
See,
Mark?
what's going on with these kids? That's kind
Well-
of unusual.
I'm not sure, like, it's like they might be autistic and haven't been diagnosed yet, where they can't speak, they're tiptoeing, they can't, like, look at you and concentrate well, they cover their ears because the sounds are too loud. They're all kind of, like, sharing these symptoms.
Anyone else want to ask Sarah anything?
So
Bob.
you or Brian never said anything to Nancy? Like
No!
Oh, wow.
Isn't that wild?
Are you able to read the prayer, or is it too long?
Read it?
Or say it?
Sure.
Do you have it memorized, or?
Yeah. the prayer of the healing angels by God through Michael the Archangel. Pour out thy healing angels, thy heavenly host upon me and upon all those that I love. Let them feel the beam of the healing angels upon them, the light of your healing hand. I will let the healing begin, whatever way God grants it. Amen.
That's it.
Nice, beautiful.
I can send it to you guys.
Anyone else want to ask Sir anything?
So Ari says amen.
Anyone else want to ask Sir anything? Sir, did you meet Lorna
She
Byrne?
doesn't know that though.
Yes, I did. She was amazing, a real
Come
firehouse.
on.
When you watch her videos on YouTube, it seems like very soft and fluffy, like angels and God. But when you meet her, she's like laser beam seeps through your soul and tells you what you need to hear.
All right, that's it for Sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark Johnson met Lorna Byrne as well.
I did.
We went to an event and she gave him the longest hug out of anyone the entire weekend. So who else would like to speak? Bob Watson.
I'll speak. So, as I was saying before, I was going through a healing with my right knee. So as you know, the knee is very important for being able to bend and be flexible. So I think, you know, leading up to that, a couple of things that were weighing on me a little bit. One of them was I own a corporation, so I don't know if you're aware of this, but the federal government and the Department of Treasury was, you know, basically telling corporations that, you know, you have to submit your birthday, your license, you know, your whatever information I don't even know, because I never looked at the whole thing that was needed to be submitted. So my accountant sent that to me, and it turned out that Texas was suing the federal government, and they put a stop on it because it's basically unconstitutional. And then they appealed it, the government, and then they won, and then it was back on for January 13th. And then I got a text from one of my friends who's a lawyer. He's a lawyer and he does compliance for a huge corporation. So he said to me, he's like, you know, it's on pause again. And from my understanding, it's either, you know, you if you want to volunteer the information, you can, which I think that's what it should be. It should be, you know, if you want to do it, you can do it. If you don't, you don't. And, you know, they were threatening also, like if you didn't do it, they would fine you $500 a day and up to like $10,000 in fines and or imprisonment. I think for like a year in prison. So I'm not anti-government, but you know, when it comes to stuff like things like that, I don't want to be forced to do anything. So that was something that was weighing on me. Then the other thing is this whole congestion pricing thing going through. You know, my girlfriend lives in Manhattan, and I just don't want to be in that position again to be forced. Like and the funny thing is she's about 5 blocks away from 60th Street. So if I was to go into Manhattan and just go to her house and then just to go back onto the Queensboro Bridge for literally less than a minute, not going into the congestion zone, like into the heart of it, and just getting onto the bridge to get out of Manhattan, away from the so-called congestion, and I could be charged either $9 or $2.25 for that privilege of driving on 2 blocks. So all this stuff was kind of weighing on me, and my immediate response is to not be flexible and not to bend to authority. So, that's where I'm at.
All right, does anyone want to ask Bob anything? Bob, you were talking about how the knee and bending, and you don't want to bend to these authorities. Are they involved? Like, what's going on with your knee? Why is that happening? Do you feel, you know?
Well, you know, like I'm saying, like, for me, I don't want to bend to the federal government. You know, it's like, you know, the federal government is supposed to be there to serve us, not us to serve them. So, that's just where I'm coming from. I don't feel like, you know, their whole underlying thing is, oh, we wanna prevent people from having shell corporations where there's, you know, all kinds of nefarious activities. It's like, I'm not a shell corporation. It's like, I work within my business and I'm doing the service that I say I'm doing, and I'm there, and you know, who the hell are they?
Does anyone else want to ask Senor Bob anything?
Do you have your name on that company?
No, I have a corporate name, but I'm the president, and there was something else I was gonna say, but I just totally forgot.
Alright, Bob, anyone else want to ask Bob anything? So Bob, I want to ask you one more time, what's going on, why do you feel you're having issues with your knee? Have you figured that out yet?
Well, I think part of it is, you know, for the last, and this hasn't been every day, but for the last 3 years, I live on the second floor. I have an e-bike that I store in my apartment, and you know, I've been lifting it with that same leg where I put it on my quadricep muscle, and I'll use my leg to bring the bike up instead of my back. So, you know, and I do it one step at a time. And I was able to successfully do it for the last 3 years, but I think finally my body and my knee and my leg is saying, you know, screw you, I'm not doing this work anymore, and you're gonna need to change and become more flexible. So through this process, I'm realizing I'm just gonna keep the bike at the office for now. You know, the next time I take it down the steps, I'm gonna, you know, just take it to the office and leave it there.
Anyone else want, alright, that's it, Bob, that's 3. Thank you, Bob. The floor is open for whoever would like to speak. We got, Tori, if she wants to say anything, or if Alice wants to say anything. Anyone? Alright, I'll give you guys another moment to see if you want to say anything. Tori or Alice? They haven't chimed in. Alright then, we'll go right to the,
Does that mean they're actually on?
Yeah, they just be, you know, they're looking at their computer, they hear us, but.
they don't want to speak, so that's alright.
So we had some music coming on earlier, so.
Ah, there's Victoria. Do you want to
Hey,
say something,
Tori.
Tori, or no? You don't have to. We can't hear you.
I'm just really congested. I don't
Alright,
have a great speaking voice, but I'll say hello.
alright.
Hugo and I are hanging out.
Hello, Tori and Hugo and Sevilla. Alright, Tori, thank you for
I
that.
like your haircut.
And Coco.
And Coco, the dog. Alright,
Is her hair short
so
like that, or-
I don't think Alex wants to say
Shit.
anything.
I
Alrighty
like
then,
that.
so, well, I'll go. Alright. So here we go, folks. We're gonna
I
get
like your
going.
hair short.
Alright, so that's that. So everyone spoke. Someone.
Tori, mute your phone. Tori, mute yourself.
I'm sorry.
Sorry,
I've been yelling at people, even from
These
Jersey
Minnesota
City,
people,
bro.
I tell you. Alright, so I'll be the speaker. So Brian Patrick, Gordon Chiropractor, Jersey City, New Jersey. There's a video, it's really brief, Pasquale just spoke about how our group will not grow very much until people start seeing things on the outside are going to get really hard, and they're going to come to us for help, and we will be there to assist them. And that's really what we're seeing right now in this world. As this gentleman you saw yesterday, Mark, all of us. So it's time, we really have to be ready to assist these people. So when I was thinking about it, I wrote some things down. Now, when Pasquale first became a chiropractor, he met a priest. And they were talking about, you know, serving people, and the priest told Pasquale, one of the hardest things to do is to learn how to accept a gift. I think just by people coming to us and allowing them to help us is a gift. It's a gift for us. And when someone says something nice to you, a compliment, don't say, oh, it's nothing, just say thank you, because they're giving you a gift, so accept it. And another thing is, someone said to me recently, I'll say the guy's name, his name is Ted. Mark knows who he is, and some other people we know around here know. He's this guy, a really special guy. And he says, Brian, you have to work on about receiving things, your ability of receivership, to let yourself receive good things. I've been thinking about that, and Sir and I have been looking for my office will remain in Jersey City, but we're looking to move outside of Jersey City, get a home somewhere with a yard, so we have room for Jack to live in a small apartment. And I told him, you know what, I'm really ready to receive a nice home for us. Like, I'm really ready. And for me to say that's a big deal from my background. And chiropractic helps me slow down to allow me to receive these good things. And that's another big thing. Now, getting back to Pasquale's video about the serving people. It is crazy out there, and we're going to see more and more people coming in with these intense things. I have so many people coming in lately, they're so, we spoke at the last meeting, they're so beat up and so seized up. I mean, I always had people like that, but it seems like now, this morning source, I never heard so many people scream. I came in your office, because she was here with Jack, and it was like, yeah, because so many people, they're locked up, they're this, they're that. So what do I have to really focus on? I just have to focus on serving the people, and the rest will take care of itself. Pasquale wasn't about practice management, telling you to run your office. These are the things I'll mention again when you tell me. Focus on serving people, the rest will take care of itself. Serve people with the pure intentions of the Holy Spirit, and God provides all your needs. That's another big one. And by doing that, that really helps us. And, there's a band called the Red Hot Chili Peppers that I like. And they have this one song, it's called My Friends. And in the line he says, like, just give your love no matter what. So it's not about taking sides of this group against this group, because that's how we all get divided and fighting each other. Just give your love, just give it, and leave it at that. And he also said another song is called Can't Stop the Spirits When They Need You. Our spiritual friends need us just as much as we need them. And we are stepping up right now. And we really have to surrender to it. Because when you resist that, I think that's why a lot of people have a lot of these pains. The pains could be for two reasons. You are saying, yes, I will do this, and this stuff is leaving us. This junk we don't need is leaving us. Sometimes that leaves us, it will cause you all sorts of pains in many different ways. But to surrender to it, to just, surrender means S-U-R, means like over, R-E means back, and D-R-R-E, which is from Latin, means to give it, just to give that love back over. We're made with love, just be love, and when you just keep being love, then you'll notice these messages we're getting, these visions we're getting, just follow them. But when you resist them, the pain lingers and lingers and lingers and lingers and won't go away until you just surrender to what you need to do. When you get those messages, just go with it. Now, with our soul out front here, it's like our soul is taking a beating. It's like, we're out front here with all this craziness, and you just keep getting, it's like every day you're getting punched and punched and punched, but you have to keep going with it, because there's an old saying, I'll take your punches till the will grows tired. This craziness we have out there is really, the forces behind it are tired, and they're finished. As far as I'm concerned, they're done. And what I have to do is just focus on a couple of these things. There's an old saying, and the darkness comprehended it not. So what does that mean? Once the light comes out of the darkness can't take it back. And the light only sees the good that comes out of the darkness. So, just like I said, just surrender and just keep going. We're receiving all these visions, like Lorna Byrne talks about, your guardian angels, they're constantly there to help you. Ask for help. Ask help from God. And just whatever you get, just go with it. Visualizing is a forced job, and most people don't realize that they're hurting themselves by doing that, because most people that visualize, they say they want this, this, and that, but they don't really say, are they ready for those things? All these young chiropractors, they scream and yell, they want 400 people a week, and I keep saying, are you ready for those 400 people a week. Can you handle that? Can you serve them properly? And some that get the other amount of people, they can't handle it, they take shortcuts and they get themselves into trouble. Now, I'll say this, a few more things. One of the things Pasquale said, one of the last things he ever said to me was, go beyond everything you ever learned. And he says, and that includes our anatomy and physiology. You can't get caught up in talking about the nervous system anymore. You can't get caught up talking about these things, about the wiring of, he's just like, think about the bones and the light going through the bones. Just think about that. Because all these other things, he says, are temporary. The reason, light is eternal. And I've been focusing on that. I put away these other things a long time ago, and I realized people have more amazing results because now they're attaching themselves to that. I don't even say it to the people, they just sense it from me. Because educate means to draw out. That's why I don't say stuff to people, because I realize when I keep saying stuff to people, I'm just putting more garbage inside of them. And if they're not ready to hear that, it's just going to throw them off. So just let them sense it, and whatever it is inside of them that they really need, it will be drawn out, and they'll do it. And I took care of this, I've taken care of this woman for years, and her daughter. And this one day out of the blue, she goes to me, well, there's two stories. One person didn't like the fact that I was taking care of her daughter, who was an infant at the time. And this woman comes up to me. She goes, didn't see I? She goes, we don't like the fact that you are taking care of her little baby, or this and that. I said, well, I don't care what you think, number one. And I don't need your permission to do anything. So when I told the mother that woman said that to me, this was a house call. She threw the woman out of her house and told her she can't come back. And she goes, I don't want someone like that around my child. She goes, Brian, that woman has no love inside of her. That's why she can't understand what you're doing is just from pure love. Then she says to me about being a humble person. She says, when you are humble, those around you rise. So just think about that. I'm going to say it 2 more times. When you are humble, those around you rise. When you are humble, those around you rise. So what does that mean to me? I don't feel the need to show off. I don't feel the need to let people think I'm the smartest guy in the room, or this or that. And you really just focus on, and humble from the Latin, it just means low. For me, it just means just keep everything slow, keep everything easy. And these people sense that. And how does that help them to rise? It really to me, people come in to see me, they're the star of the show, not me. I'm to help them, make them feel like, so that they know they are that superstar. They are that crowning creation, that's what they are, and that's what chiropractic does for them. And that helps them rise. And I get so annoyed with these chiropractors. These poor young chiropractors are having a hard time because they're getting bombarded, even when they're in school, by all these practice management people giving them all these things. You gotta do this, and they're losing the sight of how to use your hands and truly how to serve people. And they keep saying, well, make sure that people value what you do. You know, value has nothing to do with it. I have no control whether someone values what I do or not, and I don't even think about it, and I don't care either. Not that I'm not concerned about it if people are happy, or I want them to be happy with the service they're given, but I can't focus on if they're going to value what I do, because all I can do is think about who I am as a person. And if they want to be around me and accept what I do, that's okay. I love them. If they don't, I love them too. But you don't have to chase after people to keep them to stay in. People will find you. I have kids young chiropractors, when you really know that they sense that you're there to serve them, they'll just find you. And they'll find you. And that's chiropractic, and I'll get back to the last quote, and that's going to be it. When you're humble, those around you rise. Let the people just know. I want people to come in and know that this guy's just focused on me, and whether or not they want to come in once because they think that's all they need from me, or they want to come in every single week. That's up to them. But, so I say it again, when you're humble, those around you rise. That's one of my main things for this evening. Just allow the people to know that they're loved when they come to you. And that's what we're seeing. And so just be ready. Be ready to serve all these people coming in. You don't even have to say that much. And they'll just sense, you know what, I know you don't say much, but man, this was great. So that's all I have to say. Anyone want to ask Senior Brian Patrick Corrigan anything, also known as BPC? I also just, real quick, a guy I went to chiropractic school with named Joe Dales, I got a call. He's like, what is he, early 50s? He passed away suddenly the other day. He was in Bluefield, Virginia. I'm not sure where that is, but it's on the border of West Virginia and Virginia. And his wife, I knew her from chiropractic school, and they passed away, so I just want to send our condolences out to his family. A really nice guy. Really nice. He introduced me to the word, he said that he lived in a holler, and I didn't understand what that meant. And after like 6 months, I finally said, what do you mean you live in a holler? I don't understand that. He's like, oh, it's the word we use. It's like a little valley between like two hills. I said, oh, man. I said, but he had a really strong like southern accent, like Virginia, West Virginia accent. But, so I just want to say that. Does anyone want to ask me anything?
Yeah, you keep saying about the humble part.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you as far as like, why is that so?
When that lady said it to me, she said it to me in Spanish. And in Spanish it means, you say, she says, cuando eres humilde, los que te rodean se levantan. When you're, and the way she said it, it was like, boom! I don't know, Mark, it just zapped me. It was right after I had this thing with this woman who was telling me, you can't do this or that. I'm like, what, you crazy? You have any idea who you're talking to? I was like, I had to do it like that. But it just made me realize it's really not about me having to argue with this lady. It's not about me telling this woman I know what I'm doing and having to explain myself. Just what that lady said. When you're humble, those people who know this guy is just focused on me, on helping me, that will rise. Meaning, to me, their awareness of who they really are will rise. And that's a beautiful thing, and that's what chiropractic does for people. But I remember that, and this story I'm telling you, it didn't happen yesterday, it happened some time ago. But I think about that statement every single day. Every day I think about her saying. Anyone else?
Whatever happened with that child that you were taking care of in that scenario that you're talking about?
She still comes in, and she's doing great.
Nice.
That's a whole long story. I'll reserve that for a special night because it's a long story. I don't want to say it tonight. But she's doing great, Bob. She had a very rough thing she went through as an infant, but now she's doing great in every aspect.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You had said, you told us that story before.
If you come to the office and you see the artwork, she's the one who did the artwork. I have a whole section of just her artwork. She's not so little anymore. She's probably going to be taller than me soon, which I don't like, but it is what it is. Anyone else want to ask me anything? Anyone? One more time. All right, folks. Great. Let's clap. Just be ready, because 2025 is going to be a bit of a roller coaster. But chiropractic is going to push through it in a beautiful, soft, gentle way. All right, bye.
Hey, Bob,
Yes.